For over 3 decades, the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division has been investigating local law enforcement on civil rights violations. They come out with their investigation, and until now, every department just goes along with the investigation and they enter into a consent decree. Well, after over 3 years of investigation, the DOJ came out with their investigation on the Phoenix Police Department, and just last week, the Phoenix Police Department, the city of Phoenix, did something unique. It's something we've never been able to see before. Instead of just the summary report by the Department of Justice, the department, in an era of transparency that I've never seen, released the documents and video of every single incident that was discussed. Now, I just got through looking through all 36 incidents that the Department of Justice used to claim there was a pattern or practice of civil rights violation in use of force. Now, keep in mind, Phoenix is a large city. They respond to almost 1 million calls a year. In the time frame the Department of Justice investigated Phoenix, they had conducted almost 6,000 uses of force. So the DOJ listed 36 to claim there was a pattern or practice. And I have to tell you, I didn't expect to find what I found. What I found is nothing short of shocking. Out of 36 incidents, I found 36 inaccurate incidents. In fact, oftentimes I had to double check to make sure that what the DOJ said was the actual incident that Phoenix released. It read that much different. We're just going to look at one incident. You're going to hear more from me on this because this is really earth-shattering. The idea that these cases were so manipulated should be scandalous. For 30 years, this has been what the DOJ has done, and it makes me wonder if they did this to the city of Phoenix, what have they done to other agencies? So let's just take a look at one case that they used for their pattern or practice allegation. I would encourage you to go through this website yourself and take a look at these incidents. Don't just trust me, but today we're going to talk about incident 33. They use this incident and a few others to claim that Phoenix training encourages officers to use unjustified force. Here's a description by the Department of Justice. Phoenix trainers have featured unreasonable force as good de-escalation in training settings. In one Phoenix video used to train 40 millimeter operators, a Phoenix officer shot a 40 millimeter impact round at a man standing directly in front of a toddler in a crib. When someone in the training expressed concern that the toddler could have been struck had the officer missed the target, the trainer responded that the deployment was one of the best executions of the safety priorities, and the only room for improvement was to fire the projectile sooner. Now, if you just read that, you have to think to yourself a couple of things. Wow, this sounds pretty awful. But then you also, if you have some critical thinking, you have to think to yourself, are there more details here? And that was the pattern I found throughout this document. Their summaries read very similar to that, very vague, leaving out a lot of context. Now we're going to take a look at the video. And as you look at the video, let's talk about what they had responded to. Once again, this was not mentioned by the Department of Justice by using this as an allegation. The officers were responding to an aggravated assault and domestic violence incident. When they arrived, the victim told them that her husband was armed with a knife and barricaded in a room with their baby. Officers observed a man in a room with a young child. After the subject wouldn't come out, the officers used less lethal munitions to take the subject into custody. The officers gave the subject 17 commands over a 103-second period, and he failed to comply.
Joseph, come to the door with your hands up. Nothing in them now. Any response whatsoever?
Yeah, I can hear him when they're yelling. I hear the baby crying.
Joseph, come to the door. You can hear him, yes or no?
Yeah, I heard him.
I heard him yell, but that's what he's saying.
We have 3 back there, Bob. You do? Yes. So when you hear the baby crying, him yelling. Okay. Kipper, anything in the back? Looks like they're in the work. Joseph, open the bedroom door now! Joseph, open the door, walk to me!
I'm bleeding out. Door's open. He's bleeding out, he says. There's blood on the ground.
Joseph, crawl to the door!
Please, no, baby, come
Crawl to the door. Crawl to the door so I can help you. Joseph, crawl to the door so I can help you.
Baby's in the crib. Baby appears fine. Hey,
Crawl
boss.
out. Crawl out to where we can see you.
Yeah. Baby, I can see the baby in the crib. Baby's fine.
Come to me. Joseph, come to me. It's Officer Drake. Come to me.
I don't want to do
Come to me now.
I don't want to do
Come to me
I
now.
don't want to do this.
Come to me now. Go. Go, go.
Now, let me tell you what you just saw there. You saw some hero stuff. I mean, and the question I would have for the investigators of the DOJ, and we don't know who they are, we don't know who wrote this, was what would you have the officers do? What's an alternative? You leave a man in a barricaded room with a man with a knife. That was what they were told by the victim. He had a knife. He's barricaded in a room with my baby. You just sat there. Do you run in there? If you run in there, you're escalating the situation to potentially deadly force, which likely is justified if he indeed had a knife and was endangering the baby or the officers. Or do you use the tools at our disposal? Less lethal munitions, taking him into custody, nobody was hurt, and check out the end of this video. This is why these officers do what they do. Hero stuff. I'm just so impressed by what I saw throughout these incidents by Phoenix. I mean, when the DOJ is trying to show a negative light on what they did, so many of the incidents were just like this.
Go, go. Get on the ground now. I got it, boss.
There you have it. I don't want to have to be talking about this, but we need to understand what is happening to local law enforcement. If somebody accuses you of anything, whether it's the DOJ or anybody else, you need to vet that information. So once again, it makes me wonder, these have been going on for 30 years. Has this manipulation occurred in other cities, in other places? Phoenix has done an incredible service to their community by being so transparent. They can clearly see what's happened here. And they've done a service to law enforcement, or we, for the first time, can see behind the curtain the individual incidents that the DOJ talks about in these investigations.